Good morning, everyone. I'll try to, everyone hear me okay? Try to raise my voice here. First time presenting through a mask. Hope everyone's doing well this morning. As said, I'm currently the head of school at ESF Hillside, one of the 5 kindergartens within ESF. Just a little bit about myself, actually. I've been in Hong Kong. I can't remember however long now. I consider myself pretty much a third culture kid, having born in Hong Kong, but lived across different countries in the world, live in the States, in Canada, Japan, a couple of places. One of my favorite places have been Hawaii. I went to primary school there, yes. I've gone back to Maui recently the year before. Beautiful. So yeah, very much a third culture child. So I really enjoy working in an international setting. And I have been with the ESF system for close to 18 years now, having started as a class teacher. My passion always lied with the early years. So I've been teaching in K1, K2, and working in a number of ESF kindergartens in the past years, and recently as the head of Hillside since last year. So this is where we are and who I am. So maybe a bit about who we have here. Who are you? Can I just quickly survey the room? How many of you are here because you have a child that is currently born in 2018 or about to apply for K1? Okay, a few. Anyone with just newborn babies? Or no? 1 year old? Yeah, that's considered, yeah. Oh, quite a few of you. That's completely normal. Anyone who with older children, maybe looking to learn more about the ESF system, moving on to primary. Okay, a few of you. Okay, I'll try to cover all bases throughout the presentation. So, inspiring future, that's our motto in ESF. As mentioned earlier, we are a school group, one of the largest school group in Hong Kong. English is our medium of instruction. We have 22 schools with really comprehensive program. It's very much a continuum from K to 13, as in kindergarten to year 13. We have 5 kindergartens, as I've mentioned, 9 primaries and 5 secondary school, 2 through-trained schools, which are private, independent, and also 1 special needs school. So I'll talk a little bit about them as we go along. We focus on a very personalized approach. It's definitely not your traditional local kind of really didactic approach. And our intent is, let's move on to our vision and mission, which is for every child or student to be the best that they can be. And how do we do that? We try to inspire creativity, nurturing them as global citizens, leaders of the future. And we do this by creating joyful learning environments, getting together a group of exceptional teachers as we have. And again, everyone has the child's best interests at heart, putting them through a personalized approach, not, a sausage factory, everyone doing the same thing, and inspiring those curious minds. What we vouch to do is not only world-class, but world-leading, looking at different innovations. So for kindergarteners, this is kind of where we're spread out throughout Hong Kong. Currently on Hong Kong Island, there's only 1 ESF Hillside kindergarten, which is where I work at Hillside. Across on the Kowloon side, we have Chingy, Abacus, and Wu Kai Sha up in the New Territories, and also the recently opened Tung Chung Kindergarten. So most families would prefer to apply to the kindergartens geographically for obvious reasons. But another reason to consider is as you move up through to ESF primary, it's also based on or zone to where you live, your home address. So if you live, say, near Kowloon Tong and you wish to come to Hillside, which I will be very delighted to have you, but it will be quite a trek for you to travel across to the island, and also then moving into primary school, your child might be the only child from Hillside moving on to Kowloon Junior, so to speak. So there are 5 primary schools on Hong Kong Island, and the other 4 are across on Kowloon side. And in terms of secondary, they're also spread throughout both Hong Kong and Kowloon. So what drives an ESF education? These are our 6 key pillars. We want them to be active and engage as learners. Again, if you come to visit any of the kindergartens or ESF schools, in fact, we don't have them sat in rows, but unfortunately we have to now because of the COVID situation. Trying to pass the ESF stress test, we need to make sure all the children are front to back facing, 1 meter apart, so to speak, which is quite a challenge for us because we believe in collaborative learning, children working together actively, and as the second point, they're collaborative contributors. We believe that they should be responsible global citizens, that they have a part to play. Creative and critical thinkers, effective communicators, and of course being healthy and resilient. So why these 6 main pillars, you would ask? How is it different from a traditional approach, so to speak? Let me ask you this question. If someone asks you, oh, I really need to figure out the circumference of this circle. Anyone here knows how to calculate that? Unless you're really good at maths. Well, I don't know it off the top of my head. What I would do is probably, how would you find the answer if you don't know the formula? Google it, exactly. We could Google everything nowadays. So there's really no point in force feeding in the traditional sense to getting the children all sat and roll. Here all the information, memorize it, here's the textbook. Education needs to change. We're in the 21st century. If you think back about 20 years ago, there are jobs that didn't exist now. Highest paying jobs are all in IT, creative. So if you think ahead, and we're talking about world leading now and thinking about innovation, we really need to prepare our children for that and prepare our students for that, what the world looks like in the future. We need them to be creative and critical thinkers. Why? Because yes, they can Google all the information they want online, but they need to have those critical thinking skills to analyze, okay, what's helpful to me? You know, what information do I need? What's true, what's not? Being able to fact check. We need them to be responsible global citizens. You know, things are happening around the world now every day, and they need to play a part. And how do they deal with that? How to be resilient. That's another important thing. One thing we notice in Hong Kong is a lot of children are very fortunate to have helpers at home. They help them do everything. So we get those little K1s coming into our kindergarten, and you know, especially during wintertime with their coats on, they don't know how to take it off, so they do this. Or at snack time, they don't know how to open their snack box, so you just go like this. Okay, we need them to develop those self-help skills, self-independent skills, and be really resilient to when they make mistakes or when things don't go their way. If you fall, get up, it's okay. So these are really key drivers for us. And coming back to the point of collaboration, again, nowadays, if you think about Google, for example, people who work, it's all collaborative approach. You go for an interview at Google, it's not one by one, it's by group. They toss you a group project, the best group wins the job. Okay, so we really need to prepare our children for what the future looks like, and hence the ESF education system actually follows the IB, International Baccalaureate approach of philosophy, which is actually a framework. So for kindergarten and primary school, it's the primary years program. For secondary, it's middle years and the career and the IB diploma program. So it's very much a continuum from kindergarten all the way through to year 13. And recently there's also the diploma career program for those who are not as academic. They want to be interested in a particular profession, for example. So it's very much a through train as we are now. And that's the curriculum. Chinese currently in the kindergartens and schools is a specialist language subject. With the exception of Abacus Kindergarten, they do offer a bilingual program. This means that they have an English teacher and a Chinese teacher in the class the whole time, and they co-teach throughout the session. But for other schools, it is very much a single subject that's taught throughout the week or the program. Our early years pedagogy is underpinned by our commitment to deliver learning engagement through an inquiry play-based approach. And again, this is where we bring in those collaborative communication, self-help skills that was mentioned earlier, all through play. Because research says children learn best through play. They think play is their work. So some parents might come through school and go, they're just playing. What are they doing? Why are they just running around? There are reasons to it. It's all well-planned play by the teachers. We don't just toss out things and it's a free-for-all. That's not how we operate. It is very much an inquiry-based, play-based approach. So I'll take this example of a lot of schools, and again, using kindergarten, will do people who help us. Okay, we'll do a unit or a theme on people who help us. So first thing the teacher does is, who's in our community who helps us? We've got the firemen, policemen, doctors, teachers, the mailman, all these things that they list out. Okay, but hang on a minute. Don't your kids already know that? Because you need to remember that a lot of our children nowadays are not just a blank page. Some of our students are so well-traveled, they've been to a lot more places than I have. So they know a lot of things. They already know that there are firemen and policemen and doctors and dentists within the community. Then what? So what? Okay, so you learn all of these nouns and information, and you move on to teaching the next thing. So what did they really learn? So that is where the inquiry approach comes in. Okay, we really need to understand, okay, so people who help us, what if we flip that around to think about how can we help people and learn through a concept of responsibility. Everybody plays a role and everybody plays a responsibility in their community. Let's change that around. How can you help? Well, the children can help by helping to tidy up, helping to clean the tables after snack. They can be responsible too. So then they understand, the fireman's responsibility is to help put out fires. So it's not just learning about, we have a fireman, but also what is their role and responsibility in the community, and we dig deeper. So as they grow older and they move through the ESF system, through the IB curriculum, they will repeat and revisit these overarching themes of different concepts, such as responsibility, and as they grow older, they can dig deeper. So that's very much the difference between an inquiry-based approach and the traditional way of just teaching very general. It's very surface level, whereas inquiry we could find out more. So a group of children might be really interested in finding out more about their community, for example, and the different roles people play in their community. So that becomes more in-depth and also ongoing because it links with their daily lives. They can continue to learn about that. And when I mentioned earlier that it is very much a continuum, so as I said, as they grow older through the IB system, they will revisit a lot of those key concepts and key overarching themes, is because it is an ongoing learning continuum. At ASF, we're very fortunate to work as a school group. So we have regular curriculum meetings, planning meetings with colleagues who work across kindergarten, primary as well. So we come together and meet and we look at the scope and sequence together. So for example, right now during the COVID crisis, a lot of parents are very concerned about, my child hasn't been in school for months now. They're going to fall behind. What should we do? Parents are getting really anxious. Will they be ready for year 1? Will they be ready for K2? Or will they be ready for year 3? So what we're telling the parents is, don't worry. We will meet the children where they are. Okay? We don't need the children to meet us where we want them to be, because education, it's about readiness. It's not locked into one term. It's not locked into 1 year or an age for that matter. It's about if the child's ready. And our teachers are very sensitive and well aware of that. And we all work towards the same scope and sequence document. So we know where the child sits on that continuum, and we can move them along on that into the next phase quite seemingly. And that brings us to staffing. So we have high quality principals and teachers all across our kindergartens and schools, obviously, vice principal, curriculum coordinators. Many of our educational assistants are also well trained. So maybe let me just stop here and touch on class sizes. For kindergartens, most classes are about 24 children with 3 adults, 1 teacher and 2 teaching assistants. Obviously, the class lead teacher has to be well qualified, but we're very fortunate that many of our EAs or educational assistants are also teacher trained. So we have a very good ratio of 1 to 8. We also, as mentioned earlier, have Chinese teachers in our school, and at Abacus Kindergarten, it's a bilingual program where they co-teach. We also have SEN coordinators supporting our children with learning needs or learning difficulties at our schools as well. At the kindergarten level, we don't have a particular special educational needs unit or learning support unit, so to speak. Our primary schools do for those family who needs that level of support. But we do work very closely together. So right down there in terms of support, we do have access to all ESF education advisors and resources within the foundation. So we're very fortunate that we have a wealth of resource that backs us up in all the schools. Assessment and documentation, that's something that parents are often very interested as well. Because when you get that report, you know where your child's doing. We believe on ongoing communication. It's not just once a term or once a year that we contact with our parents. We actually welcome parent involvement. There are set parent-teacher conferences, but it's not restricted or limited to that parents are welcome to reach out to us when you have any questions or concerns about anything. We report to the units of inquiry. We also have portfolios that are ongoing and electronic. So you get pinged an email and say your teacher's uploaded something so you can look at your child's work. There are different learning journeys and class blogs and things that are also available online. So nowadays, as I've said earlier, 21st century, everyone has a smartphone, so you'll be able to access all of those things online. We believe that there shouldn't be any surprises. If we have any concerns or worries about your child's development, we'll be telling you at a very early stage. I always say, I might be wrong on this, so I'm just checking with you. How's your child? Is the Mary we're seeing at home same as at school, same as the Mary at home? We always try to get the parents' perspective, which is why we do believe in strong homeschool partnership. Okay, we really need to work with parents and get you on board with us. So especially if there is an issue with a child, say, we're noticed their speech is a bit behind compared to their peers. Are you noticing this at home? What can we do? And we work together to come up with strategies to support your child. So by no means are we trying to disadvantage your child. Actually, it's to help your child. And primary schools welcome that as well. When our children move on through to primary school, some parents would be like, oh, are you going to tell the primary school that my child has been getting therapy? Of course, we will be sharing that information, but parents get worried, oh, is that going to disadvantage them? Actually, it's quite the opposite, because it shows that you are dedicated and you're a very supportive family, that you're working in partnership with the school to support your child. And that's what the primary schools want, supportive parents, and not to really disadvantage your child in any way. We have lots of opportunities for parents to get involved. This is a lovely picture from our sports day the year before when there was not COVID. We, do encourage active involvement with our parents. We have parent volunteers who comes in regularly, regular communication. I'm actually quite proud to say in a recent survey that I've done with my parents, speaking for my school, that came out the highest result, that our communication was well over 90%. Our parents feel, parent community feel that they were very well informed, they know what's happening, and also being involved as well. We have lots of different interactive platforms between home and school that you use, parent workshop, events throughout the year. So we really want you to be a part of it. Okay, the transition to primary schools. Some of you are interested in that. I've touched on this a little bit earlier, but I could talk through it a bit more. So for all of the children joining the first year of kindergarten, which is this August 2020, will be guaranteed a place at an ESF primary and secondary school, with the exception of if your child has a particular learning needs and might need a bit of extra support in terms of learning support, then that's a separate application. But for the majority of the mainstream children, it's a through train all the way through. So once you're in, then you will move right through without having to worry about reapplying or re-interviewing. However, if you're currently not in an ESF kindergarten and wanting to apply to ESF, then this coming September is the application period for the year ones the following year. Just make sure you don't miss that deadline, because once you're late, your application gets treated as a late application, and it just gets really complicated. Being online, then all the applications get treated equally. You will have allocated a random number, and then we'll just sort through the random number in sequence. There are priorities, so obviously debenture will be the top priority, or nomination rights. There is then staff children, alumni, siblings of ESF, all of those will have priority, and also children who attend ESF kindergarten obviously will move right through. K-13 continuum, which we've talked about. We also work very closely with our primary colleagues. They will come to the kindergarten to visit the children and work with our children as well. We also will visit primary schools to see how our children are doing, or just for that professional development as well. So we've got really excellent relationship with the schools. Yesterday, or the day before, I actually went next door to the primary school beside me. It was lovely to see some of our children. They recognize me and they go, "I recognize you. You're from the little school," when I was little. So it was great to see them and see how far they've come along. And we do have a very strong partnership between the kindergartens and the primary schools, working together to make sure the children can flourish and thrive as they move through the system. Okay, I have a short video just to share what a day might look like at a kindergarten. As mentioned earlier, it's not, this is them coming off the school bus, saying hello to me. What are you doing? So we have, at my site, there are a couple of floors, so the children need to exercise those little legs when they arrive and come upstairs. It's very open planned. That's another thing to note. Although we all follow the same curriculum, the actual environment or the structure of the building's different across schools. So at Hillside, we're open planned, same as Qingyi and Tongchong. Actually, all of us to a degree are open planned because all the doors can be open, but we're just a bit more. So this is them busy in the different classroom, looking at them, working collaboratively together. So they're all working together, talking, communicating with each other, experimenting with different things. Self-help skills, they need to put away their own snack, find their own name badge. Outdoor play is always important. We found a bug. Oh, that's a snail. Just experimenting with different things. It's an outdoor area. Role play, that's huge for little ones. They're pretending to be at primary school with a dress up there. We also have focus work, so it's not just play throughout the whole 3 hours, you know, just experimenting, a teacher leading them through a small group activity. This video was actually taken during our theme of how the world works. So we've been doing lots of different experiments with different materials, helping to clean up the sand pit there. Again, it's a volcano experiment. We use real knives. It's very dangerous. No, these are quite okay. We have lots of adults around. Coming back to this little group pretending to be primary school teacher and the students there. Working together to build structures, and through that obviously they learn about how can we hold it stronger, how can it not fall. Lots of collaboration opportunities. So this is in the K2 classroom. I think some are K1. These are K2s. Oh, and at the end here, we've got a group of K2 children playing hide and seek, but using walkie-talkies, giving the other team clues. So they've gone to look for them around the school. They're hiding in the staff lockers. Oh, here they come. I found you. So using technology, lots of technology incorporated as well. And then they go home. So as you can see, a lot of happy children, happy to learn. And we all know happy children learns best. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for listening. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Christy. Thank you for your presentation. Just now you mentioned about, sorry, we came late, so we might have missed it already, but you mentioned about the bilingual education and the just one of the campuses.
Yeah, one of the kindergarten campus has a bilingual option. That's in Abacus in Clearwater Bay.
Okay,
Abacus
how is that
kindergarten.
like? Would it be like 2 teachers, one in English and one in, I'm guessing, Mandarin?
Yes, that's correct.
And then they co-teach, or would it be like a 70%, 30%,
They co-teach.
or 50-50?
They co-teach. Actually, it's done quite seamlessly. So there are 2 teachers, one in English, one in Mandarin, as you said, plus an education assistant in the class. So they teach the same curriculum, but at the same time using both languages. So it's not like, 70% English and 30% Chinese, or divided like that. It's not like that at all.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Any other questions? No. Thank you.